Let's see where we at. And we're right there. Alright. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, that's what I didn't do. My bad.
Mike?
Yes, my bad. 1 minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. This way, that way?
Oh, the other way. Other way.
Well, help me out,
Yeah.
somebody.
Yep, you got it.
Right here?
Yep.
Alright. Say something for me, please.
Mic check, mic check. I am here.
Say it again.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Me or Headley? Me, okay, yeah. Mic reading, mic check. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Headley Medley the Deadly. Here, grab this one over here.
1, 2. Mic check, mic check. Yes, that sounds good for me.
It does?
Yes.
Alright. Alright, so let me bring me down, and I got you. Alright, would you like to introduce yourself first before we go into it?
Yeah, of course. My name's Sinna. I am the brand manager at Tropical Sun.
Okay, and who would you have beside you? I know who it is, but just for the record anyway.
Okay, I'm DJ Headley, presenter on Omega 104.1. I
Alright.
also represent Edward's Sorrel and Ginger.
Oh, you have to plug that one in, no? Alright, I got you. So
I
it's
had some of it
okay.
yesterday, it's very nice.
It's okay. Alright, tonight. And Sinna, my bad. I came over to Tropical Sun a couple of days ago. It was very good. It was very informative. Can you explain? Because you did cover some of the things yesterday, right? But that was for the evening audience. We have a morning audience, alright? So, certain things we're going to retouch again still, alright? Now, could you explain where is that? The difference between oneness and Tropical Sun, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for Tropical Sun.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Sorry?
What role do you play first? Let's get to that so that we can have an understanding.
Okay, I'll try and answer both at the same time. So,
Right.
I work for Tropical Sun. Tropical Sun is a world foods brand, and we offer foods from a number of different, countries, sunshine countries generally, where you produce tropical food. So we have the Caribbean, various African countries, various Asian countries like Thailand, China, and a couple of European countries as well. So that's Tropical Sun. I'm the brand manager, so I do a lot of different things under that role. But I work with like the marketing department. I write text for the different products and research the products, help a little bit with product development and packaging and stuff like that. And then more recently, my roles kind of evolved to include dealing with sort of larger conversations that the company's involved in, like the ones we're having now. And then Wani's is Tropical Sun's distributor. The two companies are based in the same building, and Wani's specialises in distributing, again, world foods, but primarily African and Caribbean foods are certainly the emphasis. And Wani's has been going over 50 years, and Tropical Sun has been going for 22 years.
Okay, now Wani's, you say distribute. Give me an example of what Wani's distributes.
So, as well as obviously Tropical Sun products, Wani's distributes or wholesales a number of different product companies, a lot of African and Caribbean brands, hundreds really in total, but Matooks, Walker's Wood, Grace. We have distribution or wholesaling arrangements with many different of those brands.
So let me get it. So
Pick and Pepper.
Wani's distributes Grace. What's the other one? Matooks,
Tropaway, Walker's Wood, yeah.
Dunn's River,
yeah.
Okay, and many other things, milk and paper bags.
Yeah, a lot of different stuff that you would find in your like corner shops and family stores, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Now, since we are on Wani's, and I did hear you explain it briefly, could you explain this Pick a Pepper controversy about Wani's being sued?
Yeah. So I think this dates back to around 2011, and the basic story is that Wani's was and still is a distributor for an amazing sauce company called Pick a Pepper. It's a Caribbean sauce company think it's been around since the 20s. And we were distributing their sauces in the UK. I say we, this is Wani's, I don't actually work for Wani's, but distributing their sauces in the UK. In order to do this, Wani's was buying from a number of distributors based in Jamaica, because I believe this is the case. The Picker Pepper brand would sell its stock to a number of different distributors, and if you wanted to buy the stock, you then had to go to one of these distributors, or if you wanted a lot of the stock, you had to go to multiple distributors. So that's what Wani's did. One of these distributors Wani's was working with, then without telling Wani's, switched the product, so it essentially bootlegged the Picker Pepper sauce in order to make a higher profit for itself. Wani's didn't spot this, the product went on sale. Wani's was then eventually fined for having not spotted this scam, essentially, and paid the fine, and Wani's still represents Picker Pepper in the UK market, exclusive distribution with Picker Pepper. So I mean, that was all resolved, but I think the reason this subject has come up a few times is predominantly because two media outlets kind of published stories about it, but they vastly inflated or exaggerated the accusations, didn't really read the court papers seemingly at all, and just caused a bit of a mess there. But moving on, subject life. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks. So that was basically it with that. Now, question, does Wani's mainly distribute African and West Indian products?
Yes, mainly, but by no means exclusively. It's probably, I guess that maybe 50% of the total stock at Wani's may be Caribbean or African, but that would be a guess on my part.
Okay, now, there was a problem, and I need you to explain it. There's been a lot of things going out on WhatsApp, alright? And it's been saying it's inferior products. One of them was this cheese, right? That you could put a blowtorch. But I explained to you, it wasn't a blowtorch. I think you've seen it. What could you explain that with this process? Yeah. Why is it that these processed cheese is the way they are? Explain that for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we sell a cheese that we call Jamaican style processed cheese. This is under a brand called Jamaica Sun, which is actually, Tropical Sun used to be called Jamaica Sun, but some products kept the name. It's complicated, but so anyway, this is Jamaica Sun processed cheese, and someone and this has happened, I should add, actually not only to Jamaica Sun but to a number of other cheese brands like Kraft cheeses have had this as well.
Is it because you don't actually make the cheese yourself? You get it from another country, and what other country would that be?
No, so the cheese is from Switzerland, but it's made for Caribbean market. So if you the food laws, the way you label stuff is pretty clear, it's pretty restricted, and for a good reason. So if you were to call something, let's say, like as we do, our ackee is called Jamaican ackee. That's because it is made, processed, packaged in Jamaica. Our factory in Jamaica in Central Village. Whereas if you call something Jamaican style, it doesn't have to be made in that country. It can be made for the people of that country, but you have to be very clear. You have to write Jamaican style as opposed to Jamaican. So it's worth looking out for that on packaging in general. But anyway, so with this cheese, it's made for hot countries where not everyone necessarily uses refrigeration. So in many hot countries, people have their cheese in tins, which to us in the UK might seem weird because we obviously eat a lot of cheddar and stuff, and the cheddar goes in the fridge. But in a lot of countries, they eat them in tins. So these cheeses are made with high melting points. They're literally cheeses made with different conditions in mind, and this is why they don't necessarily melt with a lighter. But then the funny thing is, if you'd tried to burn a block of cheddar with a lighter, you would have found the exact same thing. It wouldn't melt. It would simply char the outside. So the lighter test isn't really what you're testing for, in terms of testing a cheese's quality or suitability to your taste. You want to look at a number of different things. So you want to use the cheese for purpose. So that particular cheese is used to slice really thinly onto a spiced bun. That's what most people eat it with, how they eat it. And it only melts to a slight degree. So again, we understand it's good that people actually want to know why their food has come to be like this, what it's suitable for. These are actually good signs to us that people are asking these questions. It's just kind of manifested in this strange way.
You said Switzerland,
Yeah.
alright? Now, you said Switzerland to the Caribbean. Do the same manufacturing cheese go to any other part of the world, or is it just the Caribbean?
No, it's a number of hot countries. But I think the main reason it's the Caribbean is because of its pairing with the spice bun.
Okay.
That's like a Caribbean tradition. I believe it's at Easter. I could be wrong.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's basically why it's Caribbean style, because it is most popular with the Caribbean audiences.
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I'm just letting you know that your contact is picking up each time the guy's making a very valid point. It's going long.
Oh, I know that happened last night. I don't know why it was doing that. But thanks, bro. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, because one time you were talking and you were saying something about honest that just to the same country that I didn't exactly hear who they were. I didn't see at that point.
What part did you never got?
No, the gentleman described who he is and where he is, and I heard him talking about a company by the name of Wanix or something like that. If I had no idea who Wanix is.
Okay, I'll go through that again. I know because yesterday that happened 1 or 2 times and we just blacked out. But I don't know if it's because of the way the system is set up. But I'll get back. I'll ask him about that question again. I think I know the one you were talking about. All right. All right, please. Getting back real quick. Let you finish up with what you were saying with that.
That was about it.
All right. Yes, as far as that dropping out, yesterday I noticed it yesterday every now and again was like just dropping out and so forth and things. And I don't know why it is that way. One is, I think where we was with one is was what their roles is. But if you said it was a distribution, they distribute many different products from Grace, Tropical Sun, Dunn's River, and so forth. I'll soon get to you in 1 minute, Hedley. But could you tell me about this one is how was it established? And where was it established, please?
So, I mean, Warnies was established over 50 years ago. I just want to clarify again that I don't officially work for Warnies. I know quite a bit about it because it's our distributor based out of the same building, but I don't work for them. So,
okay.
So Warnies has been going over 50 years. It basically grew out of essentially a corner store that began importing products for the local Jamaican and African communities predominantly, and also some other communities, Indians and Pakistanis. And it began bringing in products by request, and that's kind of how Wani started it. It was, trying to service its local community and obviously at the same time establish a healthy business for itself, and those are pretty much the origins.
How long has Wani's been around?
Over 50 years. It might be up to 55 now, but something along those lines.
Okay, and real quick, just reiterate when you were talking about the pick-up pepper, just in case
for anyone who missed it. Yeah, no problem. So, to double back on the pick-up pepper, essentially this is a fantastic Caribbean sauce, been around a long time. They were looking to, sell to the UK market, so Warnies was buying from a number of different distributors, buying this sauce to bring it to the UK market. One of these distributors who had previously been very reliable, then without telling Warnies, switched the product, essentially made a bootleg product to generate more money for itself. The product was actually, from what I understand, seemingly nearly identical to they did a good job of bootlegging basically. Warnies didn't find out about this until it was on sale. As soon as we found out, it was removed from sale, discontinued dealings with that distributor, and Warnies was fined. And we moved on from that a long time ago, and as I said, still work with Pick a Pepper as the exclusive UK distribution partner. So relations are good, and in a way it's a very good thing for Warnies because it helped create a number of processes for checking for these things, and so I think the company's evolved a lot since, and we're very happy to be working with Pick a Purpose still.
And one was somebody that had a family member in Jamaica, and they had a family member over here. And I heard you when with the Headley Deadly Medley yesterday was explaining that it was a supply and demand. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah. So obviously, if 50 odd years ago, you're talking about as early as the 50s and 60s, and so this was a time where it was definitely a lot harder to get Caribbean, African foods. The trade networks that exist, the internet, these things didn't exist in the same way that they do now. I'm sure you could get some foods, but especially to get them throughout the year would have been very difficult. So, having set up a shop, and the founders of Wani's found that they were getting approached a lot about very specific items from other countries. So they began importing these items, and then from there, evolving the way that these items were sold to the UK market. Had to consider things like packaging and barcodes and stuff. A lot of these products were coming over on the grey market, meaning that whilst the products themselves were excellent, they weren't necessarily the best for exporting.
One sec. If you call me and let me know if I'm cutting in and out, or is just the Sinna is cutting in and out. Give me a text, please. If it's I'm cutting in and out, or is it both of us, or just he's cutting in and out? Please, go ahead.
Yeah, that was about it.
Okay, now Tropical Sun distributes inferior products to Africa. Now let me touch this. On WhatsApp and so forth, they're showing you bugs coming out of the Tropical Sun's container. I think it was some kind of herbal thing.
It was a seasoning, yeah.
Seasoning, right? Now, can you tell us about that? Have you seen it?
I've seen I assume we're talking about the same video, so yes, I have seen it.
Okay, and what's your what did the company try to resolve this to see what was going on?
Yeah, I mean, the explanation is very straightforward. The bugs that you see in the seasoning on the video won't have originated in the seasoning themselves. These are some form of cupboard moth or insect, and so you can Google this and find this to be true very easily if you write cupboard moth or cupboard infestation. And so basically what happens is if you leave the lids off of your spices, or if you have like an open packet of pasta, particularly certain dry foods, rice, stuff like that, let's say you cut the corner off a packet of rice, or you have any sticky spillages in your cupboard, they will attract insects. And so you might have a small tub of spice right at the back of it that you've kind of forgotten about. I know I do in often cases. You put that at the back of the cupboard, and over a period of time, once the insects get in here, you have more and more insects. And what appeared to be the case with this man's seasoning is he had an infestation in his cupboard, but was perhaps pointing the finger at the seasoning. The reason we know that this can't be the seasoning is because all of our spices and seasonings are essentially have a number of different processes to eliminate all possibility that happens. I guess the two most relevant ones would be the steam and heat treatments. So the bugs that were shown in the video were alive, but there's no possibility these bugs could live through 2 different heat treatments, as well as a number of other processes, and still be alive in the tub of spices, having spent months on a shelf, possibly. So yeah, we've published a blog post on our website about how to keep your spices and seasonings bug-free. We hope people find that useful, and it's been an education for us, kind of responding
Sorry,
to the video.
what was the treatment you said that you'd be using?
Well, there's 2 different heat treatments. One's a steam treatment and one's a dry heat treatment. And there are also things like, the crops themselves are all fed EU permissible pesticides, so everything's grown within EU regulation for EU markets, and EU regulation tends to be quite good. It's got a high standard. The factory that actually produce all the spices are also graded grade A in like hygiene standards by, I think it's the British Retail Consortium. You know, we take a lot of care over the quality of our products, and these things are bound to happen. You know, people are going to get infestations and stuff.
Okay. Is there any question you wanted to ask?
Yes, there's a couple. First and foremost, let me say that Pick a Pepper was launched in Jamaica in 1921.
Nice.
Okay, fine. Not for you to know that,
Yeah.
but that's letting you know that. Another thing, you stated that it was started in North London.
Which was what?
The shop.
I'm not actually 100% sure, but it might be.
Okay, fine. So now we're going back to say, well, we are saying now that one is, I'm not talking tropical, I'm talking one is.
Mm-hmm.
Now one is a privately owned enterprise.
Yeah, it's not publicly owned as in government
Okay,
owned. It's
fine,
private,
yes.
yeah.
It's privately owned.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'm only picking up on what OG said. With the heat treatment, and yourself, with the heat treatment, after doing the heat treatment, is it then after that it showed the bugs, or was it before?
No, they would have. So the bugs would have been when it was at someone's home. So the video to describe it was a man. It was only a 30 or 40 second video, and he's essentially filming bugs in his spices.
Okay.
In the tub.
Okay.
But what you don't know from the video, the tub's already open. So what you don't know is, has he just opened it? Did he open it months ago and now he's discovering bugs inside it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we would believe to be the case. Just to give it a little bit of context, that no one from that video contacted us. So the video was circulated, but no one contacted us to say, listen, I found these bugs in my spice. We actually weren't able to trace whoever uploaded the video to ask them some questions, to have a dialogue with them. We've never had, in as far as I look through the complaint logs that we have, I can't see any mention of a bug in a spice. It would be more likely to find bugs in some other types of food than the spices, simply because of the nature of the way that the spices are processed with heat and stuff like that.
Okay, so let me help you along here. I'm not going to be on your side. I'm on the fence here. So I'm just trying to work it from perspective. There's two ways it probably might happen. Now, one way is the spice might have been open and left open, and you get the airborne yeast, which means it's been contaminated with it being left open. There's one way that could have happened. The second way, if I believe in what you're saying, then it could be left in an open environment, so that obviously when something is left open in an environment like that, it might contaminate it with the atmosphere around, the humidity. Let me use that word, humidity, and then it might
Humidity
cause it.
certainly doesn't help. Yeah.
That's correct,
Human
because
conditions.
I'm not sure if it's on your packet or on anybody's packet, it might tell them the way they should store the spice.
That's actually a fantastic point. I would like to see more of that information on the spices, and I think, now I think about it, we should. So we've put all that information in a blog post, and the space available on the spice packaging is quite limited.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're absolutely right. I think that would actually, if we could find a condensed way of putting that on there, I think that would be really sensible. The basic rules to follow are, as you implied, don't have like moisture. It's got to be a dry cupboard. That's really paramount. It's got to be clean. If you have crumbs or sticky spillages in your cupboard, you've got to get rid of them. If you have open packets, you have to close them. There are clips you can buy. You can put it in a Tupperware or similar types of more resealable tubs. The Tropical Sun seasonings, actually, the lids, the reason, if you've ever seen a Tropical Sun seasoning, the reason they are like they are, with these kind of tight sealing lids, and they don't have shakers on them, because if you think about, if you're cooking over a stove and you use a shaker, you've got steam rising from the pot, and
Yes.
that goes into the pores of the shaker as you're shaking into it, and then that moisture gets in to the spice, as you're saying. So that's why we, for example, don't have shakers on our seasonings, is because we want to keep them completely sealed, to protect them from moisture.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is if I ever see the Tropical Sun
Yeah.
with the store in this condition, I'm taking accreditation for that.
I think you deserve it.
Thank you.
Alright. I think we touched one or two of those things. Then we explained the treatment and so forth. There's a thing now on WhatsApp that you move from Finchley to Brixton, and you're trying to move in to get the black market. What's this about, you moving from Finchley to Brixton?
This is one of the strangest rumours I've heard, because this is one of the ones that never quite made sense. We've never been in Finchley nor Brixton, as in we've never had offices there, as far as I know. We've been in East London for a long, long time. I don't know the number of years, but I believe it's a decade or more. So I'm not sure where that came from, but I think the implication was that for some reason we might be pretending to be based in places that we weren't. I think someone got confused somewhere along the line.
Alright. So in other words, you're still where you based at now?
In East London.
And you've always been over there for the last umpteen years?
Yeah, for a long, long time. I've only been at Tropical Sun for maybe 18, 19 months, but I've learned a lot about the company's history as part of my job.
Well, this is recently that you moved from Finchley to Brixton.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
You're not hiring minorities.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could...
No, I was there.
You could answer that
No.
for us.
Could you give me the breakdown and I can co-sign it if anything?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to give you exact figures.
No, I was there, but give me a rough.
I don't know them. Yeah, I just
In the company that I went to over by Lewisham. I'm not talking about Jamaica.
Not Lucian.
Leytonstone.
Yeah.
Thank you, my bad. Could you give me a breakdown in percentages, roughly?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that we have a fairly even mix of people from South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. We have a lot of staff from Africa, Caribbean, obviously a number of British people, Europeans, and mixed British heritage. It would be very hard to give percentages.
When I was there and I observed, I saw, this is my observation.
Absolutely, yeah.
It was about 30% Indians, 30% Africans, 20% European, and 10% Caribbean. Now, how do I distinguish between Africans and Caribbean? By the languages and the facial structure. But let's just say we put them African and Caribbean at least 40%. That seems to me to have been a diverse range of people, and that's in your company.
I mean, absolutely. If we want to, which we do, if we want to cater to the African and Caribbean markets and give them the best possible service, then we recognise the need for having good quality African and Caribbean staff, and to inform us on the products we sell. And you have to know your products. We're always trying to better understand the products we sell.
Let me ask you something. This thing that's been hitting Facebook and WhatsApp, do you think it could be a rival company that's putting out this as a propaganda against y'all? Is there a possibility?
I mean, there's certainly a possibility that people may have inflamed something. I've never seen anything that amounts to any evidence for anyone doing that. I feel like there's a lot of very understandable. People have questions, and that's a good thing. I think there's been a lot of fake news, not to sound like Donald Trump, but I think there has been a lot of fake news. I think that's just a symptom of the modern times. When it's not only Tropical Sun that has been the target of fake news. It's look at how much it affected the US election, and
Okay, I've been inside Tropical Sun's building one is, and it is Afrocentric. I've seen all the artifacts and so forth, the pictures there, and everything is basically Afrocentric. Alright, so I have no problem with that. What I wanted to do was that you said that out of Jamaica, you do a lot of production out of Jamaica, right? Mm-hmm. And that's from where? A place called what?
Central Village in Jamaica.
Okay, and I'm quite sure that most of your staff at Central Village is Jamaican people, right?
Yes.
Can I ask?
No, you can't ask, but go ahead and ask.
Okay, thank you. You might know or you might not know, where is Central Village?
I'm not sure on the geography of it exactly. I'm sure you're about to
Tell you?
Yeah.
Is it Spanish Town?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, Tropical Sun was started in 1996.
Correct.
That's when they was born.
22 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we can go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, because no, yesterday I was listening and you were saying that. What do you actually do? Do you do community projects in Jamaica?
Yeah. I guess the biggest one we've done to date that's kind of still ongoing and that we're going to look to expand is working with 2 schools local to our factory. One is a junior school, one is a high school, and a lot of the children from our factory employees go to these schools, so we've been helping to renovate these schools. In one of the schools we've installed a security guard hut and built walls essentially between the classrooms so that the sound can be insulated so that there's not sound contamination going between classrooms, which was proving a problem for just teaching because you could hear sound coming from a number of other classrooms. And the other school was, from what I recall, was everything down to fitting new chairs and I think a new kitchenette and stuff. We're basically trying to tend to whatever their specific needs are, and obviously not impose anything, but simply ask them what they need and then have that fulfilled. And as I said, hopefully this will be a long-standing relationship that we're cultivating with these schools.
I think most of the concern is 2 things. One, from the community, from what I'm understanding, is inferior products. That's their number one, which that would be a legit concern. Number 2, which I'm not too concerned about, but the community is concerned about, is actually giving back to the community from which ones you're taking from. Alright? Now, yesterday, I know that you're hiring a lot of people from Jamaica, but I was listening to Headley with you yesterday, and you were saying that the people that they have their farms and they will come to Tropical Sun, or you will allocate where you work with them so that they can generate the money and also 2 hands clap. Could you expound on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I think you're referring to a conversation that we had about how we source the raw products and stuff. So in the vast majority of cases, as I understand it, we are working with independent farmers and suppliers in not only in the Caribbean, and that's not just Jamaica, that's Barbados, St. Lucia, and some other countries in the Caribbean, but also all across the world. We work with many different independent suppliers and have direct arrangements with those to buy raw product from them, and then in some cases we will process that ourselves, or we will outsource. If we, for example, in Jamaica, we have a factory out there, and so a lot of the processing of the products and the packaging will be done there for products that are produced there. In some other cases, it works slightly differently. As we sell 450 products, no two supply systems are exactly the same. It really varies depending on which product, which country. You have to respect the rules of that country and the people of those countries, and adapt your processes accordingly.
Okay, I see time is running. Got like another 7 minutes. Alright. Give me some constructive criticism. Thing that you felt that you should have actually been doing to bridge the gap between your consumers and the suppliers.
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. So, as I said, I've only been there 18 months, so I don't have the perfect view of this. But when I arrived, one of the things that I felt needed improving, that along with my colleagues we worked really hard to try to improve is the basic communications between ourselves and our customers. So that's obviously everything from how the website functions to responding on social media to the tone of these responses and how quickly we are able to respond, and just generally making ourselves more available to people. I think that was, for a long time, it was maybe neglected slightly, but mostly because the company was spending so much effort and resources on developing these products. What people should hopefully try to remember about this is that it's not necessarily always easy to bring over foods from a lot of different countries. There's a lot of jumping through hoops to get those products here, and it takes a lot of resources to do that. So the company had focused a lot of its resources on that, and consequently maybe hadn't done the best job of building communications with our customers. But that's a big focus of ours now.
Okay, so I'm going to give you credit, or give the company credit for what they're doing regarding the Jamaica project and employing the natives from there. Not only that, as managing, it's not, I'm going to use it, I'm not, right. As for the Indian, it's black people managing the factory out there.
It's certainly, yeah, it's Jamaicans. I'm sure there are some Indian Jamaicans, some African origin Jamaicans.
No, meaning you're not sending them from
one
it's here or tropical to go down there and manage them.
Like what China's doing, they're sending the Chinese from China to go down there, and the people ain't sharing part of the. Okay, that's what you're saying.
No, we have local staff running the entire operation, and that's because they're the best people to run it.
So what I'm going to give you credit for, sorry to break in there, because we only got something.
I'll take you after the news still. I'll give you a little bit more.
All right, so I won't. So, yet again, for the charity, what you're doing, I applaud, I big you up for that, or the company for that. Not only that, I can see what is happening even within this country as well, that you're supporting a lot of charities.
We're trying. We're going to get.
No, you're not trying. Still. You're doing.
Yeah. We're doing our best, but there's more work to be done.
You was talking about when Jamaica or the Caribbean have natural disasters. How do you contribute?
This has happened. I don't know the entire history of this, and what I should clarify, I'm not trying to project Tropical Sun as some holy entity. These are ultimately business-led decisions for the most part, but hopefully, an ethical business. And so, one thing we've is perhaps more Wanis even than Tropical Sun, but in the Caribbean and in many other places, obviously they suffer from more regular natural disasters than we do, and this can be completely catastrophic to their operations. It can actually completely destroy a farming operation, obviously even take lives. And so there's been situations where some of our suppliers have faced a flood or something similar, and Wanis has paid them money to help restore their operation, and then also buy, let's say, the first crop or harvest to get the operation going again. And again, that's not necessarily even a charitable act, but actually sensible business. If you support people and you build these trusting working relationships, and they see you're in it for the long haul, they're going to make sure we get the best quality product, and our customers get the best quality product, and everyone's happy. So.
But that's what you call future investment.
Definitely.
Which is quite right. I can't knock the company for that, because they can see great future within the farming and the farmers. So of course they will do futures investment.
We can't exist without these farmers, independent farmers, doing what they do. It would be ignorance of us to not respect and collaborate with them.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, got another 2 minutes. Real quick, is there a problem with the Caribbean not being part of the EU? Why they're limited to be able to export things from the Caribbean on their own?
I don't really know enough about the costs and gains of being inside the EU to really offer much of an opinion on that. I would say that, as far as I can tell, opinion on EU membership is pretty divided, and I think there are probably advantages and disadvantages. I'd certainly imagine that trading with EU countries is made harder for a non-EU country, because the whole point of being in the EU is it's a trading platform to a large extent. Exactly, and so yeah, I'd imagine there are higher costs for Caribbean companies looking to export themselves to the EU, and this is why a lot of them end up working with a company like Wani's, who have these UK distribution networks and can take a lot of the hassle out of the selling process.
Okay. As I said, I got 45 seconds. I didn't want to get into nothing too deep. There was a lot of... I'll finish this out and then we'll get you back after the news real quick. There was a lot of saying about, they don't put back in this, the Indians taking the money out and sending their children to school and so forth and that, which I never really want to hear, because that's self-preservation. You're supposed to take care of your own. That's number one, alright? But the thing is that you are giving back to the community one way or another. And I think there's a thing called supply and demand. You can give the demand, you have the supply, we have the demand. We need it, and if we can't get it from you, then we have to get it from somebody. And at the end of the day, there is nobody. And this black and white thing, grace and so forth, but I've got 3 seconds, I'll catch you on the rebound. Holla one, peace!
Amica Radio, 104.5.
I think I know why it was hitching.
1 sec.
Peace.